In news from the criminal courts, a man is facing assault charges after allegedly attacking a police officer. Another has been slapped with multiple assault charges after his vehicle was immobilized by a security guard, while a third man was arrested on DUI offenses. On Sunday of this week, police received a domestic disturbance report and upon arrival at the location met with a woman who told them that her brother, Edwin Robinson, was making threats to burn the house down and to kill himself. The woman said that she was concerned for her mother's well-being as she suffers from a form of mental illness and Robinson is supposed to be looking after her. Robinson's sister, who does not reside in the house, said that her brother had called her screaming, cursing, and threatening to do something to himself and the residents, which prompted her to visit the home. Upon her arrival, she says Robinson held a knife to his neck and threatened to kill himself in front of her and their mother. He then reportedly took all of his clothing and tossed it outside, telling his sister that he was going to burn his clothes and the house. Police made their way to the back porch where they found Robinson lying on the ground with an unnamed woman. One officer called out to get Robinson's attention, upon which the man began to curse the officer. The irate man refused police requests to speak with him and ordered them out of his residence in a profanity-laced tirade. Ignoring police entreaties to calm down, Robinson turned his attention to his sister, beginning to approach her, still hurling expletives. However, he reversed course after an officer raised his hand in front of him to prevent the angry brother from getting close to his sibling. Robinson then reportedly went out of the police's view into the bushes surrounding the property. His profanity-laden commentary, however, continued to emanate from his concealed location, exhorting the police to leave his property before he began to pelt them with stones. One officer walked the sister back inside to interview her and her mother, while others remained outside to keep an eye on Robinson. After a while, the officer inside the residence went back out to meet with his colleagues, where he found Robinson in a fighting stance, cursing and threatening one of the officers for shining a flashlight in his direction. Police kept asking for calm, and Robinson kept rebuffing their entreaties, at one point looking through an open window at his sister and saying that he was going to deal with her for calling for help. Robinson approached an officer standing in the doorway of the back porch and ordered him to move. When he was told that he could not enter the house until he had gotten himself under control, Robinson reportedly responded by striking the officer on his right forearm and attempting to shove his way inside. The officer sidestepped out of the way and began trying to subdue Robinson and place him under arrest. It took two officers to outmaneuver the squirming man and get both of his hands into cuffs. He was then arrested and charged with aggravated assault and battery on an officer. In court on Friday, a judge ruled that Robinson needed to post his $1,000 bail requirement in full and provide a suitable address other than his mother's to secure his release. If released, he must then report to the probation office twice weekly and is to have no unlawful contact with the complainant or any witnesses in the matter. On St. Thomas, a man who slashed a security guard at the American Yacht Harbor on Tuesday was slapped with multiple charges. The 911 emergency call center received a call just before 3 a.m. Wednesday from the Schneider Regional Medical Center emergency room, notifying that a stabbing victim had presented himself for treatment. Police investigations revealed that there was a disturbance at the American Yacht Harbor at an establishment named Bernie's. The bartender had made a complaint that Levi Registe was screaming and running through the bar, threatening him. Further investigations revealed that a security guard who was on duty at the time had confronted Registe on the staircase leading down to the parking garage, telling him to leave the area. Registe reportedly responded by attacking the guard with a knife he had been carrying, causing 3 lacerations and dislocating the man's shoulder. It was that guard who had gone to Schneider Regional seeking medical assistance and ultimately needed over 10 sutures to close his wounds. Registe then left the area, and a few hours later, 911 was informed that he was now at the ER, reporting that he had been struck by a piece of lumber which broke his left hand. When patrol officers made contact, Registe admitted that he was the perpetrator in the previous stabbing incident. The security guard said that despite striking Registe with the wooden 2x4 in self-defense, he had no idea how the man's hand had been broken. It was further revealed during the investigatory process that sometime before the stabbing, Regis had parked an unregistered Suzuki Grand Vitara in the American Yacht Harbor parking garage, and the vehicle had been immobilized by the facility's security personnel. Regis allegedly confronted the guard about booting his vehicle, threatening that the man was, quote, going to get it. Ultimately, Regis was arrested and charged with first-degree assault, third-degree assault, possession of a dangerous weapon, and disturbance of the peace by fighting. In court on Friday, a judge ruled that Regis would need to post 20% of his $75,000 bail requirement to secure his release. If he is able to do so, he will be barred from leaving the St. Thomas and John district without the court's written permission. Regis must also report to the probation office twice weekly and provide proof of employment. A daily curfew has been imposed from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Regis is further to have no contact directly or indirectly with the victim or any witnesses and must not enter the premises of the American Yacht Harbor while the matter is pending. Regis is also prohibited from consuming alcohol or any controlled substance or possessing a firearm, ammunition, or a dangerous weapon. His arraignment is set for November 18th. St. Croix resident David Motta was arrested on November 1st following an auto collision in Peters Rest, Christiansted. According to documents before the court, while on the way to the scene of the collision, officers were notified that the incident had turned into a possible disturbance and that the driver and passenger of the vehicle that caused the collision were leaving the area on foot. When police arrived at the scene, the individuals in question had been detained by a supporting unit. And the supporting officer said that David Motta, the driver of a silver Camry, along with his girlfriend, were sitting in the back of his patrol unit. The couple was asked if they needed medical attention, but they declined. Police observed the Camry with severe damage facing east on the southern shoulder of the roadway. There was also an overturned black Suzuki Vitara in the yard of a nearby property. The Vitara had apparently impacted and damaged a black Chevrolet Suburban, which was also parked in the yard. About 57 feet of the chain-link wire fence which surrounded the property was also damaged. Neighbors informed police that the owner of the property was off island. The scene was processed, and shortly thereafter, Motta and his girlfriend were transported to a safe zone at the Anselmo Marshall Command Police Station, where he was Mirandized. Motta told police that he was driving westward on Peters Rest Road when his tire blew out and he lost control of the vehicle, hitting the parked Chevrolet. While interviewing Motta, however, officers took note of his red, watery eyes and the smell of alcohol emanating from his person. He had been staggering while walking, so police asked if he had consumed any alcoholic beverages. Motta admitted to having 4 beers. He was questioned about his driving speed and insisted that he'd been traveling at about 35 miles per hour. Motta had difficulty with one of the standardized field sobriety tests that were administered and ascribed his inability to complete the other 2 to a knee injury. He refused to consent to a chemical test of his breath. Motta was then placed under arrest and charged with driving under the influence of an intoxicating liquor and negligent driving. In court on Friday, a judge ruled that Motta be allowed to post 10% of his $1,000 bail to secure his release. He is to have no unlawful contact with the complainant or any witnesses in the matter.